Hey, I'm Gemolnu, and for the longest time, I had this deep belief, almost an obsession, that data was everything. If I could just get my hands on enough spreadsheets, enough contact lists, enough demographic breakdowns, I thought I could practically print money for my business. I was in the business of selling leads to other business owners, and in my head, that meant my entire job was for the hunt of data, polish it up, and pass it along. That's it, right? Simple. Well, not exactly. Because one day everything I thought I knew about leads, marketing, and data completely unraveled. And that was the day I realized that data isn't the same as demand. Now, in this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact story, the one that cost me $10,000 but completely changed how I think about leads. I'll break down the three biggest mistakes I made when I confused data for demand, and I'll share the three-step framework I use now to find people who are ready to buy, not just people who look like they might. So if you're a business owner who's been spending money on marketing but not seeing the return you hoped for, stick around because this could honestly be the most valuable 10 minutes of your week. And hey, if by the end of this you're done wasting money, chasing ghost leads and just want qualified, ready to buy talkers, ready to talk buyers, I'll show you exactly how I can help. Sounds good? Cool. Let's dive in. All right, picture this. It's about 2 years ago. There we go. I had just landed what I thought was a dream client. Let's call him Mike. Mike ran a high end kitchen remodeling company in Miami, top tier quality, beautiful work, the kind of kitchens you'd see in design magazines. But his marketing, a mess. He was spending a fortune every single month on ads, getting tons of clicks, yet somehow not a single sale. So this was over $15,000 per month in ad spend. So he comes to me one day and says, Jem, I don't need more clicks. I need people who actually want new kitchens. And I remember thinking, okay, this is it. This is my shot to prove what I can do. So I did what I always done. I went straight to my comfort zone, the data. I pulled every trick in the book. I scraped lists, I filtered and segmented. I built what I thought was the perfect audience. We're talking 5,000 homeowners in Miami, not just anyone though. These were people living in homes worth over $750,000 who would own their property for more than 10 years. In my head, the logic was airtight. They got money, they lived there long enough to want an upgrade, they're perfect for a remodel. So I proudly handed this golden list over to Mike like a chef serving his signature dish. He was thrilled. He poured thousands into a direct mail campaign and a Facebook ad blitz targeting that list. And I was confident. I thought we were about to crush it. But then, silence. Absolute silence. A few website clicks, one or two unsubscribed emails, but not a single sales call. Not one. I remember refreshing his ad dashboard, waiting for something to happen, a spike in engagement, a call booked, or anything. But all I got was the sound of crickets. And that sinking feeling in my chest that something was really off. Really off. Mike was frustrated, and honestly, so was I, because I didn't just fail them, I failed my own logic. That entire project, the ads, the mailers, the hours of targeting, and cleanup, ended up being a $10,000 loss. But honestly, that's not the part that stung the most. What stung was realizing that I had done everything right on paper, and it still didn't work. That was the moment everything clicked. It was the day I realized data isn't the same as demand. So, what went wrong? I couldn't let it go. I had to figure it out. So I took Mike out for a coffee one morning and we spent hours going through everything, the targeting, the offers, the audience, even the messaging. And that's when it finally became clear. The problem wasn't the data itself, the problem was me and how I interpreted it. I was so obsessed with finding people who fit a profile that I completely ignored whether they were actually in the market for what Mike was selling. And that realization led to the first and probably the biggest mistake I made in that whole campaign. So, what went wrong specifically? Let's talk about it. So, as Mike and I sat there sipping coffee and replaying everything, I started realizing something that honestly made me cringe a little. My list, that massive data driven golden list I was so proud of, it wasn't made of real people, it was made of profiles. I had created a digital portrait of what I thought a buyer looked like. Homeowners in Miami, high property values, 10 plus years in the same house. On paper, it sounded perfect, but in reality, it was just a demographic snapshot, not a psychological one. It told me everything about who they were, but absolutely nothing about what they wanted right now and if they were market, if they were even in the market for something. So Here's what I completely missed, and maybe you made that same mistake too. Just because someone owns a 10-year-old kitchen doesn't mean they're unhappy with it. They might absolutely love it. They might have renovated themselves 5 years ago and think it's already perfect. Or maybe they're saving up for their kids' college. Or maybe they're planning to move next summer. In other words, they're not in pain. And if someone isn't in pain, they're not looking for a cure. I was out there trying to sell aspirin to people who didn't have headaches and then wondering why nobody wanted it. See, this is where I got it all wrong. I thought data equaled demand, but demand isn't about what people are. It's about what they're feeling right now. You can't just look at someone's income, home value, or job title and assume they're ready to buy because those things describe who they are, not what they want. That's only the data. Demand is an emotion in motion. It's that moment when someone says, I can't stand this anymore, I need to fix it. That's when they start searching, comparing, clicking, asking questions, calling people. That's when the sale starts, not when you buy a list. When you realize that difference, it's like flipping on a light switch because suddenly you stop trying to guess who might buy and start spotting who's already buying. It's the difference between playing detective and being a mind reader. Once I understood that, everything changed. I stopped thinking of myself as a data miner, someone who just digs through data, numbers, hoping to strike gold. And instead, I became a demand detective, someone who looks for signals, cues, and behaviors that reveal real intent. That one mental shift completely redefined how I approach lead generation, and it led me to the next big realization. Because after I figured out that not every profile is a buyer, I started to notice something else. Even among the people who looked interested, not all of them were ready to take action. And that brings me to the second big shift. So, they were just living their lives. They weren't sitting around thinking, I need a new kitchen. They were thinking about their next vacation, or their kids' tuition, or the leak in their roof they still hadn't fixed. So when Mike's ad popped up showing the modern cabinets and luxury countertops, it wasn't inspiring or exciting to them. It was an interruption, it was noise. They weren't shopping, they were just scrolling. And here's the truth, when someone isn't already in shopping mode, no matter how clever your ad is, it's like trying to sell a treadmill to someone who's already sitting on the couch eating pizza. They might glance at it for a second, but they're not going to get up and buy. Now let's flip that. A real lead, a person with actual demand, is completely different. They're not passively scrolling, they're actively searching, they're comparing, they're clicking, they're taking screenshots. They've got that I need to fix this look in their eyes. So here's how I started explaining to clients, and honestly, this example makes it crystal clear. Let's say you're a divorce attorney in Chicago. You just buy a giant list of every married person in Cook County. That's data. That's your spectator list. Sure, they're married, but most of them happy living life, planning vacation, posting anniversary selfies. Those people aren't your leads. They're not even in the same headspace. Now, let's talk about the shopper. A shopper is the person who just typed into Google how to file for divorce in Illinois. Best custody lawyer, Chicago. How long does divorce take? Or maybe they're on Reddit, reading reviews, asking questions, trying to understand their options. That's not random data. That's flashing neon sign. That's a flashing neon sign that says I have a problem and I need help right now. It's the same for any business. There's always a difference between the spectator and the shopper. Spectators might fit the profile, but shoppers are feeling the pain right now, and people in pain take action. So when I went back to Mike, the kitchen remodeler, we completely changed our approach. Instead of targeting wealthy homeowners, we went after people who were already in the market and in the headspace of renovating. He built audiences around real intent signals, people searching for things like more modern kitchen cabinet ideas, cost of quartz countertops, how long does a kitchen remodel take? Because if someone's Googling those things, they're not just curious, they're planning. They're measuring their space, checking their budget, imagining new designs. That's real demand. That's when you show up. And when we made that shift from chasing spectators to connecting with shoppers, the difference was night and day. The leads were smaller in volume, sure, but they were alive. They were clicking, booking, and actually showing up for our calls. That's when I realized you don't need more data, you need better timing. So now that we know what demand actually looks like, the next question becomes how do you find it consistently? How do you stop guessing who's ready to buy and start spotting it in real time? That was my final breakthrough, and honestly, it became the foundation of how I help clients today. All right. So we talked about the mindset shift from data to demand, from profiles to people, from spectators to shoppers. Now let's get practical. This is the actual part, so listen up, because if you get these three steps right, you'll never waste a dollar on cold leads again. The first step is all about getting inside your ideal customer's head. Ask yourself, what are they actually typing into Google when they're ready to buy? And I'm not talking about broad, generic stuff like kitchen or software or marketing. That's way too cold. You want to find the words that buyers use when they're right on the edge of taking action. Those long tail, specific problem solving searches that practically scream, I'm ready to buy. Just show me who to trust. Let's go back to Mike, my kitchen remodeling client. When we first started, I was targeting people based on demographics, homeowners, high income, nice houses, all that profile stuff. But after the $10,000 lesson, we flipped it. We started asking what's a homeowner actually typing when they're serious about remodeling. And we found things like kitchen remodel cost calculator, how to hire a kitchen contractor in Miami, best kitchen remodeling companies near me. That's intent. That's someone who's not just curious, they're planning something. And it's not just for local businesses. This applies to any industry. Let's say you're a SaaS company selling project management software. Your prospect your prospects aren't searching software, they're searching compare Asana versus Trello. Best project management tool for remote teams. ClickUp pricing or your software reviews. Those are gold mines. Each of those searches means someone's already researching solutions and they're just one step away from deciding. So, go find those exact phrases. Use tools like Google Keyword Planner, or there's so many other ones like SEO, SEMrush, Search Console. You can do a lot of things here. So there's a lot of options, and new software comes out on a daily basis for keyword planning. Don't guess what people might search. Uncover. You can also use Google Trends. That one's important as well. But just don't guess what people might search. Uncover what they're actually searching in real time. Because in this game, the person who understands intent wins every time. Now, once you know what they're searching, the next step is learning how to read their actions. Because shoppers don't just tell you what they want with their words, they tell you with their behavior. Every click, every scroll, every visit, that's their digital body language. Think about it. When someone's really considering a purchase, they don't just hit one page and bounce. They browse your pricing page multiple times. They download your guides. They watch your testimonial videos to see if you're the real deal. And each one of those micro actions tells a story. Let's break that down with Mike again. We noticed some visitors were returning to his remodeling cost page 2, 3, even 4 times a week. Others downloaded his guide, 10 things to know before remodeling your kitchen, and some spent 6, 5, even 7 minutes watching his video testimonials. That's not random traffic, that's signal. Those people were mentally moving from interested to seriously considering. Once we started tracking those signals with simple tools like Google Analytics, HubSpot, and even basic email engagement data, we stopped guessing who was serious. We could literally see it. And that visibility gave us power because when you know who's leaning in, you can reach out with precision, not spam. All right, last step here, and honestly, this one separates amateurs from the pros. When you finally reach out, you can't just leave with, hey, we do kitchens, or hey, need a remodel? Call now. That's what everyone else does. That's why most campaigns fall flat. You need to engage with context. You gotta respond to the conversation that's already happening in their head. If someone just searched kitchen remodel cost calculator, your ad shouldn't say beautiful kitchen designs. It should say get an accurate kitchen remodel quote in 60 seconds. You're solving the exact problem they just expressed. If someone downloaded your guide on financing a remodel, don't follow up with book a consultation. Send a message that says, hey, saw you grabbed our financing guide. Here are 3 flexible payment options our clients love. That's not selling. That's continuing the conversation they already started. Because here's the truth. People don't want another sales pitch. They want relevance. They want someone who gets there, they just get where they are in their decision process in their head. When your message meets their mindset, magic happens. Click-through rates go up, conversion costs go down, and suddenly you're not chasing, you're attracting. That's what it means to engage with context. All right, let's bring it all together. My $10,000 failure with Mike taught me everything I know about this business. I went from thinking my job was to find data to realizing my real job was to uncover demand. So, quick recap. Stop targeting profiles. A wealthy homeowner is just a statistic. You want patients who feel the pain. Find the shoppers, not the spectators. Look for active intent, search queries, behaviors, engagement. Use the 3-step framework. Find the intent keywords, track the digital body language, engage with context, not a pitch. When you make that shift, everything changes. Your cost to acquire a customer plummets and your conversions go through the roof, and suddenly your marketing actually feels alive. Now, I know this takes work. It's not just about running ads, it's about rethinking how you see your audience. And if you're sitting there thinking, Jem, this makes total sense, but I don't have the time or the team to pull all this off, I get it. That's literally what I do. I help businesses generate and connect with real high intent leads, people who are already shopping for exactly what you offered. If you're tired of wasting money on marketing that doesn't convert, let's talk. There are multiple links in the description to book a quick, no pressure call with me. On that call, we'll look at your current lead flow, find where the leaks are, and I'll show you exactly how we can fill your calendar with qualified appointments. The kind that actually close. No guessing, no cold lists, just real demand. If this was helpful, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment if you want me to break down real examples from other industries next. Thanks for watching. I'm Jem Molnu, and remember, don't chase data, find demand.